Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Vanderpool. Today we're going to be talking about the U.S. Constitution. We're going to talk about how it was developed and what is included in the United States Constitution. So previous to the Constitution, in 1776, you had the Declaration of Independence. Of course, the primary author of that document was Thomas Jefferson, and it was inspired, Thomas Jefferson was inspired by the works of John Locke. So the Declaration of Independence opens with Jefferson invoking Locke's philosophy of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And Jefferson then continues by listing grievances against George III for violating inalienable rights. And through that Declaration of Independence, the United States, which at this point is made up of 13 colonies, declares its independence. Now, let's look at British colonial rule. So the British had what's called a unitary system, where all power will flow from one central government. So you had a very powerful British government, and then you had these much less powerful political subunits, or colonies. So in this system, the national government is very, very strong. Now, the original document that the United States operated under was called the Articles of Confederation. And this was an example of a confederate system where power is concentrated in political subunits, or the states, and there's a very weak central government. This is typically what's happening is that the central government is an institution where these political subunits, these states, they unite for a common goal. So this Articles of Confederation was America's first attempt at a government, and the states were very, very powerful, but the federal government was very, very weak under the Articles of Confederation. Now, after the Articles of Confederation, you had the Constitution. And the Constitution has a federal system where the powers are divided and or shared between state and central governments. So you have a powerful central U.S. government, and you also have powerful state governments. So this demonstrates the concept of federalism, which is the division of powers between the federal government and state governments. So our Constitution has this idea of federalism in it, and we'll be talking about that more in the future. So let's go back to the Articles of Confederation. They lasted from 1781 to 1789. It was the original American government system. Like I previously said, it had a weak central government. Individual state liberties are not threatened because the states are much more powerful than the central government. No executive. Remember, they came from rule by George III, the colonists did. They really hated kings. Confederacies tend to be unstable, and the Articles of Confederation was no exception. So what are some of the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation? Article 2. Each state retains its sovereignty, freedom, and independence. So the central government really doesn't have much control over what the states are doing. It had a unicameral Congress, one house with one vote per state. You needed supermajority to pass a law. You needed 13 out of 13 to amend. So you needed every single state to amend. You needed 9 of 13 states to pass a law. So there's no executive, no president, no central authority, there's no federal judiciary, no Supreme Court, no central law, no control of taxation, commerce between states or with foreign nations, and very little control over the money system. So once again, states had pretty much all the power. The central government, not so much. The federal government, not so much. Now, An historical event that showed that the Articles of Confederation were not working was called Shays' Rebellion. So what happened is the colonies were in debt after the war, and the central government, the federal government, tried to raise taxes. Farmers in western Massachusetts didn't like that very much. They rebelled against these taxes that they could not afford. They rebelled against foreclosures. They forced judges out of court. They freed debtors from jail. This all started in 1786. And the most important thing that came from Shays' Rebellion is it showed that the national government was weak. In fact, so weak that it had a difficult time putting down rebellions. It couldn't keep order. Therefore, it showed the leaders of the United States at that time that they needed to seek a stronger national government. The Articles were not working.